listening to the Contraritics Podcast, pushing back against the insanity of this world with arguments that may or may not work. And here's your hosts, Josh the Gun Nerd and Ian the Beer Nut.
Well, it is a different set of heads here today. We do not have Josh the Gun Nerd. He is out tending to bees today. But we have the doctor in today. So welcome to the show, Grant.
Thank you for having me. I've never been
Who are you?
I've never been on a podcast before, so this is new to me. So name's Grant Weinberg, or CGW as I introduce myself on my channel, The Doctor's In. And I am Ian's brother-in-law.
Yep.
So I will say he had the pleasure of marrying my sister.
That's right.
And yeah, I am also married. I have 5 kids as well.
Yep.
So between two of us, we got 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I am also a teacher at Evangel Classical School. And then I'm also a professor at Comfort College. So I'm teaching a myriad of different things, and depending on the year, it really does depend upon all of what I'm teaching. Normally something with mathematics, science, and then our omnibus, which is a history, Bible, literature class. So kind of all over the liberal arts spectrum.
Yeah, and you're doing omnibus 2, and that's early church. You're in early church history, right?
Yeah,
now. Is it technically medieval? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
It'll span it.
That's a medieval section. Spans hundreds of years. But and I'm in Omnibus 3 again, so that's the modern, the first pass through the modern era for the students in that selection of coursework. So you're, what year of teaching is this now?
I think this is year 8.
Okay.
Which is a little weird to think about.
Yeah. So you've seen, you've seen a lot of different things in terms of, in terms of location, it's always been here, right? Since you've been here.
Yep. Always been at our building now.
Yeah. But it's been you've seen a lot of different students pass through. Some of the staff has changed. Some of, the overall ministry philosophy and school philosophy has not changed. But what do you think about where it's at and where it's going and where you hope to see it go?
Yeah. With the leadership we have in place, it is actually a huge blessing how stable we have been with our mission and focus. And over really the past 3 years, we really have got to really work on defining things. And so, even our school board is meeting to figure out a 5-year plan. And I don't know if that's public information, but I just made it public.
They're sketching out some vision stuff. Yeah.
I don't think that's a problem I said that. But
no. You didn't reveal the plan. You just said they're coming up with the plan.
I don't know the plan. So they're working on things, which is super exciting for us teachers to get a lot more direction, Lord willing there. But as far as where I see the school going, we've been working on a mission statement, our mission statement is still the same as well. But we are working on kind of a big, hairy goal, ambitious goal that we're working on, which is to become the number 1 culture producers in Western Washington. That is something that, as a leadership team, we've been talking about how do we do that? How do we become that? And looking forward in the future, really does start with our teachers, and then goes down to our students, out to our families, and then into our cities. But really, it's all about. It starts with today. It starts with the kids we have, the students we have,
right?
And seeing, being faithful now, and then looking towards the future and just working on them.
Yeah. So you talk about culture producers because in our mission statement we talk about carrying and advancing Christ-honoring culture. So it's kind of I mean, it's built into the original mission statement. And then what type of culture building would that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, I've trying to define cultures has always been a weird one for me until really recently, where I really just think about like it's actually just Christian, and that seems simple and very easy to misunderstand and make it to mean whatever you want. But when it comes down to it, we actually just want to produce people that love God, love the world, love people, and handle the world like Christians. So not freaking out, having nerve, but then also going and producing things. So having kids, raising big families, making businesses, because that's what people do that love the Lord. So, I mean, it goes back to just being faithful Christians. And then, of course, we have to define that because that just means too many things today. Right.
But even, I mean, you could go back, in history when they talk about the Protestant work ethic, like that is, I think when you get the theology right, it breeds the right type of people who want to do the right type of things like that, and not separating the sacred and secular, and seeing calling and vocation as a God-given blessing.
Yeah, totally. And so we do tend to have to define our theology in order to make people understand what we actually want to produce,
right?
As opposed to saying Christian, because even saying Protestant,
right?
Like another definition, which is helpful. That's why we talk about all the different ologies and whatnot, and isms. So yeah,
because I find myself like I know it's a historically relevant term and has a lot of baggage behind it, depending on where you're coming from. But I don't like that the Protestant name. I mean, it's more about just in the word itself. It's more about what you're against than what you're for. And I think there's actually a lot of bullets that we have that we're for, that just in the name is kind of inherently negative at the outset. Though we should be building and fighting, but also it's not just always pushing against something. It is actually pushing towards a goal, that wanting to build something, not just tear something down.
Yeah, that's a great clarification on it too. Because looking at pretty much every single section of theology is really looking at dividing, but it's dividing of truths,
right?
For the purpose, and if you get bogged down by that, you become useless. But if you divide truth in order to be fruitful, which is I think what you're trying to talk about, that's the point behind the divisions, is to know where you're going in order to go forward faster. So you don't have to worry about all the little stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of, dividing and, for good, and also has its hazards. What, in light of Kirk's assassination last week, I don't know. I've just been, in seeing some of the clips recirculating around, I've been encouraged by just, I would already be encouraged when I would hear him speak. Just very clear, very articulate, could recall things like crazy, facts, exact quotes, but he was one that would make very clear. I felt like in all of his debates and anytime somebody would step up to the microphone and say something, he'd be like, well, what do you mean by that? Clarifying terms, clarifying, or even people just not letting people get away with just using the word trans or using the word, whatever it is, gospel. Like, what do you mean by that? Because all that just, like, if you don't know what somebody means when they say the word, then you're just looking past each other. So do you have any other thoughts in like a week out on his legacy, or maybe his example, and what he left behind?
for a guy I paid so little attention to before he died, I don't know why his death has been affecting me as much as it has.
Mm-hmm. I would say the same. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to, but it definitely, I would agree with that sentiment.
Yeah. It's hard. I did a short encouragement video on my channel about this already. But I don't plan on stopping. So I love talking more about it. But just looking at what he built, what he stood for, and like I've probably only watched a couple hours of stuff from him.
Yeah.
But everything I heard, I never heard anything I disagreed with. And there's plenty of stuff out there that I don't know if I disagreed with him about, but he was a great presuppositional apologist. He knew basic introductory logic, which is just defining terms like you're talking about. Mm-hmm. That somehow baffles people in it.
Right.
But then looking forward, like it is clearly...
And he wasn't... he wasn't demeaning. Like, in being very clear on what he meant, he could have verbally destroyed people and run circles around them. But I felt like he took most of the time. He took examples. The examples I heard, he took the opportunity to actually be super gracious and winsome and wanting to win them and not just trample them.
Yeah, and that's something with argumentation that if you're not used to doing it, you must understand. Because like you probably talk with students too in Omnibus, where they'll throw out arguments and you just take up the opposite side to help them grow.
Yeah.
And when you're attacking an idea, you can do it in a way that diminishes the idea without diminishing the person.
Yeah.
But if you're not used to that, or if you take the idea as your identity, which
Mm-hmm.
is a very common thing today, it can still feel personal.
Right.
And so, like, we're used to not holding ideas as identity whatsoever. So if someone calls an idea of ours retarded, we're like, yep, you're probably right there. And that doesn't diminish me.
Yeah, and people are actually espousing that words are violence, like they're actually literal violence. It's like, well, no, like violence is violence. You know?
Yeah, so like I have plenty of friends on Facebook that are calling him mean and not violent, but just every mean term they can think of. They're calling that, and I'm watching the same clips. I'm like, he's actually not being mean. That's just how you talk to people.
Yeah. When
you disagree with them. So like that is actually a divide that weirdly we have to define nowadays. That attacking ideas is not attacking a person. But yeah, I mean, looking forward to what we can move past with Kirk. Really, it's build more culture, build more things, have big families, and stop letting. I mean, it's easy to point a target at the left, but don't let the enemy, whoever the enemy may be or turned into, whatnot, off the hook easily. So, like, learn from Kirk in that regard. You can do it with a smile. You can do it, as we would say, weaponized laughter. Do it with that, but you can't let them off the hook. Don't let them, when they're about to hang themselves, don't let them off the gallows.
Yeah, and I heard it said as well that, it's actually a really good thing in terms of testimony that he was not one of these guys that you kind of had to, I mean, like, I don't know, like a guy like Trump. I'm not saying that Trump is even claiming to be a believer necessarily, but a guy where it's a mixed bag. It's just like, I mean, everyone's a mixed bag because we're sinners, but in the sense of his legacy, like he was a faithful husband, faithful father, husband, speaker, and his personal life matched what he said in public. So I think that's a great example of someone that did not bring disrepute to the name of Christ or to Christians, and it's really shocking to see people trying to dig up stuff on a guy that just, I don't know. Yeah, you call him controversial, but he actually lived what he said he believed. But I'm gonna crack this this beer. It's a I picked this one because it has coffee in it, and Grant does coffee. I know you're not much of a beer guy, but you can spit it out if you don't like it. So it's called Talking Teeth. It's a stout brewed with coffee and chocolate. It's a 5.2%. And so it's a pretty low ABV stout. It's by, what does it say? Bazaar and Outer Dark. So Bazaar is out of Seattle, and I've never heard of it, which is bizarre. But yeah, it's a pretty low ABV stout. You don't see a lot of those. A lot of times you'll see a low ABV porter. Yeah, I think it's right down in Seattle. Let's see. Yeah, right downtown. But it's got a nice malty nose to it, like you'd expect. I'm not picking up a lot of coffee. I smell more chocolate than coffee. But I would say in the flavor, it's more coffee than chocolate. Like a lot of times the chocolate can round out the coffee, but the coffee is actually pretty... and that the sharp notes of a typical stout are coming through.
But it's really mellow and smooth.
Yeah, it's smooth. But not as warm as I thought maybe the chocolate might. But maybe it's, as Josh would say, it's baker's chocolate. That's his favorite phrase. Let's see. Was mashed with a bold blend of English barley, pale chocolate malt, a selection of caramel malts, oat malt, chocolate rye malt, and cocoa nibs. Okay, so cocoa nibs. This stout was hopped in the kettle with Styrian Golding and Talus, and was fermented with our favorite English ale strain. This version was brewed in collaboration with our good friends at Outer Dark Coffee Co. Oh, okay, so Outer Dark's the coffee, and Bazaar is the brewer. I guess the coffee's out of Tacoma. Utilized a blend of their Sumatra anaerobic honey and Rwanda natural coffee beans. So there you go.
We're ethnic today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, totally drinkable, totally serviceable stout. But with all the talk about the Talking Teeth and that long write-up, I guess I would just expect more in terms of, I don't know, something a little more unique on the... to me, it tastes like just a pretty typical stout. It doesn't have anything that's...
But it's a very approachable stout.
Yeah, very approachable. Yeah.
So like if you don't like stouts and you want to try one, this is actually a really good one to try.
I would agree.
Because it's not overly coffee or chocolate.
Yeah. Josh and I, famously, only in this circle, but we got it was a salted caramel stout, and it didn't taste salted or caramel. Like, it just tasted like a normal stout. And so anytime I pick up something that says it has something in it, I'm just like, I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah.
I think it depends too when they add the stuff. Like, is it in the boil? Is it in the fermenter? How?
Yeah.
Like bittering hops versus aromatic hops at the end that are going to give more nose.
Yeah, I don't know if you talk bad about beer on this one, but I don't remember what brewery it's from, but it's up north. They have a chocolate banana stout that actually tastes like chocolate banana. I think it's called Monkey something. I had it a long time ago. It was horrendous because of how much it tastes like banana. Yeah. If you like banana, you'd probably like it, but I didn't pour that one out either. But I've only poured out one beer ever, and the people who like this one get mad at me. But Moose Drool.
Oh yeah.
That one I poured out.
Isn't that a brown ale?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. That one made me not like brown ales.
We had an absolutely horrible beer from North Sound up there, which they usually do have good stuff. This was an off batch, and it was very off. Josh poured it off the porch. I might have muscled through my. I just had a small glass of it, but yeah. One of the things we want to touch on today, as a secondary, went through This last week we went through Common Sense by Thomas Paine, which is a great little pamphlet. It's not, I mean, it's barely a book.
Yeah.
It's about 50, 60 pages. I actually had not read it through before, and I was happy that I did, and happy to discuss some things with my students, ninth graders. What were some of your takeaways?
Yeah, I have a team teacher with me, so I don't actually have to do my secondary reading. I did this one though, because this is one of the books for the year I haven't read before, and so I'm trying to read every book I haven't read. Like Huck Finn, I've taught 4 times. I'm not going to reread that one next week. But this one, both Mr. Giddings and I both said we wish we had read this earlier in our lives. This is an incredibly clear book. I don't know why this book didn't go around during 2020.
Yeah.
Like, for all the protesting books that went around, Dicia Contra Tyrannos by Brutus that we read. This is a way better book on the same subject that is way more approachable.
Yeah, way more approachable.
I mean, my 8th graders still, they didn't even understand the first sentence, which is kind of funny. The first quote really actually does sum up the book really well. Man knows no master save creating heaven or those whom choice and common good ordain. Like just that one is like, okay, that's the book. We have God as the master, or those that we choose, or that God the master ordains over us. And to have that actually in the introduction, because Thomas Paine was a good deist, not a Christian. To have that as your opening line does just show that they understood divine nature, natural science, the natural world, and how these things work together.
Yeah, and it was published February 14th, 1776. So this, I was kind of comparing it to what Uncle Tom's Cabin did for the Civil War, in pushing things to a head and actually motivating people to like, hey, this is, according to Harriet Beecher Stowe, it was worth fighting for. And she was using a sentimental narrative to try to move people's emotions to that. And Thomas Paine was trying to motivate people with what he called common sense, saying it only makes sense. People, we have to act. People, we can't just keep sitting around. People, we can't. And he actually uses, for being a deist, he actually very craftily uses scripture and examples from scripture, and like has a good knowledge of the Bible, and uses that in his argumentation, and essentially and then goes upon, at some point he says, in the following pages I offer nothing more than simple facts, plain arguments, and common sense. I have no other preliminaries to settle with the reader, and then that he will divest himself of prejudice and prepossession, and suffer his reason and feelings to determine for themselves, that he will put on, or rather that he will put off the true character of a man, and generously enlarge his views beyond the present day. I mean, if you had an opposing view, you would take that kind of insultingly, because basically if you're not an idiot, you should see what I'm saying and you should agree.
Yeah, that's a great political argument.
Right.
And yeah, it's fantastic. And if you read it, it does make a note statement. And tying it to Uncle Tom's Cabin, which I also haven't read. Another one I should have read already in my life. But like, that is a great tie-in. And reading this book, I think, is a very timely thing for us, because our East Coast trip this year.
I keep saying that too.
Is in the year of the 250th anniversary of our country. So 250 years later, after this was written, we'll be there where everything happened.
Yeah. And it really puts you in the shoes of, the colonists back in 1776, where he's he's having to convince people that that the whole king idea is a really bad idea, that it naturally sets you up for a bad contract, a bad agreement to sign up for, submitting yourself and your posterity to this guy's heirs and sons, when you don't know what those sons will turn out like, and arguing for, that it's just, and then of course that he's already broken those contracts, and that now is the time to fight for our independence. And I do like that he despises being called Britain being called the mother country. He just can't stand that. He said, what did he say? But if you have and still shake hands with murders. Oh, that's a different quote. But anyway, he just can't stand. He's like, what do we have to do with Britain? Like, just because we came from there doesn't mean like now it's basically an abuser, not a mother. What are they doing to us to nurture us? They're all they're doing is looking out for their own interests. They're not looking out for us.
Yeah, he also likened it. I think I know what quote you're talking about. That we are not British per se, but we're Europeans, and we left there out of political stress and religious stress.
Right.
So like we're actually fleeing everything you represent.
Yeah, hither have they fled, not from the tender embraces of the mother, but from the cruelty of the monster.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's like, what do we have to do with you? We're out. Peace out. But sorry, a fun story. You've been to the Tower of London before on your Europe trip, and I don't know if you're like me, but I remember nothing from my high school Europe trip. But I got to go again as a teacher with the Regates a couple years ago when my son was born, and we went to the Tower of London, and the Redcoats. There's a name for them there that I'm blanking on, but they give the tours.
The guard.
Yeah, the guard. Uh-huh. He called us a small little uprising across the pond in his history story, and we all cheered for him. It was quite funny.
Yeah, and this is one thing that I starred and highlighted that sums up, because when reading through John Adams' biography, he was very much like, he was frustrated with the colonies that were dragging their feet, hoping to give one more letter, send one more thing that maybe he'll, basically maybe we don't have to fight. And he said, reconciliation is now a fallacious dream. And later he says, basically, at the end, he basically says, if we don't do this, he said, until an independence is declared, the continent will feel itself like a man who continues putting off some unpleasant business from day to day, yet knows it must be done, hates to set about it, wishes it over, and continually haunted with the thoughts of its necessity. So it needs to get done, but you're trying all these other means, knowing it's really not going to happen. And every letter that you send is like 6 months. It's a couple months there, then they respond, and then a couple months to get it back. And so he's just like, no, we just have to do what we know we need to do. And there was definitely not a solidified agreement between everybody until there finally was, until, John Adams spent, I think it was 3 hours, giving a long petition to I guess it was the Continental Congress, trying to get everybody on board with it. And then a couple states delegates were late, and so he did the whole thing again. He was committed to getting this thing, getting everyone united, and this book was helpful to that end. Anything else that stuck out to you that people should know? He said it here, and it's for our society. I think it's very timely as well. So 250 years ago, he said,
When we are planning for posterity, we ought to remember that virtue is not hereditary.
Right. Yes. That was a good one.
Yeah, it's so it's C.S. Lewis's Abolition of Man, that hideous strength, men without chest, that we must train our people in virtue. There is absolute objective truth. And if you negate that, then you actually negate your ability to tell me that there's not. So
Right.
I'm saying there is. You can argue with me what it is, but you can't argue that it's not there. If you do, then you have lost your argument. But we must get back to training our people, holding our society to the standard. Because that is a huge problem in America today. Is we just don't have virtue.
Yeah.
We don't train it. We don't care about it. We reward you for getting away with it.
Right. Yeah, they have virtue according to their own eyes, and in according to their own standard, but not virtue as God sees it.
Yeah.
It's like the John Adams quote. It's wholly unfit for a godless people. This Constitution, because it doesn't work if you don't like. The Constitution was set up for those that actually believe in an ultimate truth, and that being set forth by God. And now we're seeing what happens when. I heard a Kirk quote recently where he's quoting that, and then he says, "Yeah, we're a godless society, so we're trying to tear everything down that was built by." Thomas Paine wasn't necessarily a godly man. He did follow godly principles in his reasoning and logic, but the undergirding of our founding documents and our founding fathers was very much like Scripture was just in the fabric of our education and our. That's why we came to America, right? Is so we could freely exercise religion and set something up where I did think that was interesting how he said at one point basically he said the free exercise of religion according to the dictates of conscience, which I'm like, did he foresee when he said that, did he foresee like Muslims over here, or was he thinking just within a smaller subset of religion?
Yeah, that is a great question, actually.
Like, did he even have that on his bingo card?
Yeah. I think he's well educated enough to say yes to that.
Uh-huh.
And because he talks so much about it. And to let society, as opposed to government, control the ebb and flow of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if our society is Christian, well, Muslims actually don't fit.
Yeah.
They can live here peacefully if they live with us, but they're not going to thrive within a Christian society.
Right.
Because they're antithetical to each other. It just doesn't work. So Christians can live peacefully with Muslims, but Muslims can't live peacefully with Christians. So
or not consistently.
Right. Yes, not consistently. So yeah, and I'm stealing this from Doug Wilson because when I do apologetics, we always start with watching Collision first with Doug Wilson and Christopher Hitchens. And someone asked Doug in that video, why are the Netherlands the morally best country? And Doug likens it to the prodigal son, that the trust fund kid isn't bankrupt the first day he leaves his dad. He has checks he can still write before they bounce. So Paine had morals because of the trust fund that built up in his society of Christianity. So his morals hadn't run out yet.
And why did you bring up the Netherlands?
That's actually Doug's quote. So
okay.
That's happened in the video.
Okay.
Yeah. They're still trickling down.
Is he talking about Kuiper and that heritage? Because that's where Kuiper was, right?
That was where Kuiper was. The crowd is what asked him about the Netherlands, and ironically, Abraham Kuyper. I don't know if the person who asked Doug this question would have connected all those dots.
Okay.
But we can connect the dots.
Yeah, right.
Like Kuyper changed the Netherlands in the early 1900s. And then after that, they went massively liberal. And so they were living off the checks of the Christian heritage that came before them. And then they are running out of moral money at this point.
Yeah.
And we'll see how far down it goes. But I have stopped in the Netherlands. I've been to Germany, but there are parts that when I was in European countries that our guide said, you may not go there. Like, you can't. You will experience things that you do not want to see. You just can't be there. Whereas that was not a thing in the U.S., or at least in Washington when I was there. But now there's places in Seattle where, like, I don't go there anymore.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, they are becoming more and more bankrupt morally, and
well, yeah, because when you do when laws get challenged, and the presuppositions are no longer there that undergird those laws, then it's like, oh yeah, why do we have whatever it is, abortion outlawed, or why not let people out of prison like 57 times because maybe they'll get better this time, or like whatever the reasoning is. There's no longer those principles that lead to those laws, and they don't hold up in court because our judges don't uphold to those things either, and are trying to reinterpret the Constitution, and the fabric of the nation starts to fall apart. So I don't know, from your perspective. So yes, we're running out of money, moral money. So would you just go back to kind of what you said about the school as far as like our part as Christians? Like, what are we supposed to do?
I mean, as a collective, Christians do what's in front of you.
Right.
So, I mean, is there a great school in your area that you don't have to go help with? Then, and maybe you hate reading. My wife does not enjoy reading. She would not make a good teacher, secondary teacher. She's actually really good with the little kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, she does a lot of the homeschooling, a lot of the schoolwork with our kids at home, early ages. But, like, if you hate those kind of things, look at what God has gifted you in. Look at your community. What is there? What needs do you see? And go fill them. I mean, education is the bedrock. I mean, we're on the West Coast. Our people were the pioneers. So you come out, you build a store, and you build a school, and you build a church. Often the church and school will be the same building. But, like, those things start first. You got to have food. You got to have some kind of commerce. But then you have to train up the children for the next generation. So, I mean, that's the start. But then from there, you see a need to meet one. So, I mean, for us, I mean, we're still pioneering a little bit in Marysville. But we got beer. We got really good beer in Marysville.
We do. We actually do. We don't have much beyond that. We have lots of chains and lots of...
but, I mean, we're starting health clinics. Like Jubilee Clinic. That isn't the name of it right. I want to make sure I'm...
It's DPC, Direct Primary Care.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you would consider it a clinic.
But like those kind of things, we're literally a decade in, and we're starting things.
Yeah, and like we had Jubal on here, and it like he said, it was a direct result of Sean handing him a book, that was talking about it, and he kind of said, dang it, Sean, why'd you hand me that? Now I got to do something about it.
Right.
But it's good that people are seeing things and doing things. Okay, so yeah, just picking up the next thing in front of you, and then looking for new opportunities, to plug in. Because like, while your fatherly and husband duties are like your primaries, that shouldn't like mean that you ignore every other opportunity, right? Like,
right. Yeah. Men have, men can't be one thing. Mm-hmm. You got to be, Lord willing, you're a husband. and once you're a husband, well, then you, Lord willing, are blessed to also be a father. But then that also means you have two people at least to provide for. So you have to be a provider. But you also live in society, so then you also have to be in politics. And then you're in church too, so you also have to be a churchman.
Right.
So like, and you become lopsided if you actually only focus on one.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also the protector side. Like I think those are the big ones that I often think about. Husband, father, provider, protector, spiritual guidance. So like a husband has the burden of glory, because that's what it comes into, of being lots of different things to focus on, and to have to go and do all these types of things.
Yeah.
But you can't just stop at a husband and father, because then you're a terrible provider potentially.
Yeah, and I was kind of making this argument a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was a while ago, but I keep thinking about how if we are imitating God, and if we are imitators of him and his creativeness and his love for the world, then we should have a natural curiosity for the things of the earth that he's made, that just the excessive abundance that he's put in detail into, like we got praying mantises around this property all of a sudden. And it's like, those are interesting creatures. Now, should you neglect your husband, or I mean, depends who it is, but should you neglect your fatherly duties, or neglect your wife for the sake of praying mantises? No, but all in perspective of in order of priority. But I think a man that is growing in Christ-likeness will grow in curiosity about the world and care about a multitude of things. But also that will look different for each person. Everyone has a different... You can't be interested in everything in the same way that you can't be just only interested in one thing. I think a man that is only interested in one thing, I think that just reflects either an improper theology or just immaturity.
Yeah.
And I think the one that is growing in his interests. And I think there's been a good top-down push for that in our community with Sean and others that are working to get outside of their comfort zone and outside of interested in other things and pushing people to like be okay with their soul, like that you are not forsaking what God has called good, like you're actually leaning into what he's called good.
Yeah, God created all those things at the beginning, called them good, and says take dominion of them. So enjoy them in the way he put them in front of you. So like we're in the Pacific Northwest. It'd be really cool to go to the desert and find all the things in the desert, but I don't have the capacity to go to, like, the Sahara Desert would be really cool to go check out. The Egypt would be fascinating, but like I'm not there, so I get to delve in here, and we have lots of moisture,
right?
Which brings a lot of mold, a lot of fungi and whatnot, but
all kinds of green things. I mean,
yeah, we have lots of green.
If you leave your car in the shade for multiple years, it'll have a green carpet on it,
Yeah, my orange car is becoming more and more green because I drive it so little.
Right. Yeah, so that's the charge, I guess, at the end of this is do the next right thing in front of you. And, if you feel like your plate is full, then lean into it and make sure it's the right things, and keep looking to expand your capability. Maybe you're capable of more than you think you can do, and maybe surround yourself with people that are actually pushing themselves as well. If you're not going to church, get your butt to church. We meet every Sunday 10 a.m. here in Marysville. If you're not prioritizing your kids' education, whether that be at home or sending them to a school that cares about what God cares about, then do that. Get your priorities straight. Hopefully this was an encouragement to you. Grant, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for the beer.
Yeah, and we'll catch you next time, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Contraritics. Tune in next time for another dose of guns, beer, and contrarianism.